everyone. This is Jenny, and before I answer the question, I'm the one that works at Goldsboro High School, which is a high priority school in Wayne County, an inner city school. And so I am answering for our journal question. I'm answering question number 1. In chapter 3 of Heward, there were several ideas for helping in communication with parents. Which of these do you think would be most effective for you and why? Um, when I was looking through the chapters, it had a lot of really good information for conversations between parents and teachers and students as well. And I always like to compare where I am with the information that I am reading and trying to grasp so that I can take it back to my classroom and always try to improve my teaching style. So, which one would be more effective for me and why? On page 105, I believe it was the conflict resolution through dialoguing. I do agree that it's very important that teachers always maintain communication with their parents, and it's not only a measure of accountability, but it forces teachers to be proactive before students begin failing or having troubled areas. And for those students who may not have parents who are extremely involved until the teacher contacts them, it also forces the accountability of many parents. Not all, it doesn't always work, but many parents. So, conflict resolution through dialoguing. What I loved about this is in the last paragraph, it says Gonzalez Mina points out differences between a dialogue and an argument. And I never really thought about it before, especially because in my population of students, they are very aggressive, they are tired, frustrated, not necessarily because of educational problems, but life itself. And then their children have to come to school, and oftentimes it is time off for them. And so if they're going to be contacted at home, a lot of times they just don't answer the phone. They just don't want to have to deal with something else. But anyway, so the differences between a dialogue and an argument, and it mentions that the object of an argument is to win, but the object of a dialogue is to gather information. And I think it's very important for teachers to always assess and gather substantial information. And then it says the arguer tells and the dialoguer asks. So oftentimes I found myself being frustrated with a student, and when the parent sits in front of me, I begin to just tell them every problem that I'm having. And then the parent is kind of taken by storm, and then they have to have time to prepare to answer the questions. Well, I didn't give them time, and I can see where that could cause an immediate sever of ties between our relationship, when ultimately the student is what's most important. And then it says the arguer sees two opposing views and consider hers the valid or best one, and the dialoguer is winning to understand multiple viewpoints. And so oftentimes the listener, or the one who's receiving all of this, a wall goes up and they get defensive. And that's never good. But in addition to that, like I said, I work in a high priority school in Goldsboro, and it says here on page 107 that under understanding and respecting cultural differences, which I think is extremely important, especially at my school. But it says many families live in low income and poverty. Approximately 38% of America's school-age children live below or near the poverty line. I was blown away by that number. 38% is outrageous, and it continues to grow. And to be honest, it breaks my heart. But concerning the question, it said that so many families live in low income and poverty. Approximately 90% of the students where I work live in low income and poverty. We have 100% free lunch. And so compared to that, in the educational system on page 108, it states the educational system, in particular the special education system, may be intimidating to the family. And I agree with that concerning special education, but in my school, that is 100% true, special education or not. The whole entire educational system is intimidating. My students' parents did not graduate from high school or college. They came from the same things that their children are coming up in now. And so when you start talking about their child's reading level or why their child's not reading at home, I can already sense that the problem is that many of these parents lack the skills to help their children. And it's extremely frustrating to see it day in and day out. And so when I have communication with parents, I realized that I have to not be so aggressive when I was reading the differences between a dialogue and an argument. And so I have to learn to not be so aggressive, take my time, be patient. If I already know what my students' parents are like, then I should prepare for that. Again, because it will ultimately just benefit the student, which is the ultimate goal. And the last thing that I found that would be best for me, I loved this outline for a parent-teacher conference. I'm going to steal it, and I'm going to copy this and use this in my classroom effective Monday. But what I love about this is it's a really great accountability measure. It looks great. It's great for records. You can keep them forever. It protects the teacher. It protects the student and the parent. I love it. But in particular, it says current programs and strategies that are used by the teacher. This document forces teachers to come up with specialized strategies to help students that they are having problems with. To me, it sounds a lot like an IEP, but whatever. And I love that because it forces the accountability of teachers, but also it has suggestions for parents, which also forces a parent to now be proactive or at least think of something that you can document. And it has at the very bottom a date to call for follow-up, which I think is key, especially on documents. It makes the teacher say, hey, when I have 1,000 things to do, I can highlight this and just remember, I can put it in a book or a binder and I can just check dates, and that's how I can do my calls. And then I can put a check when I spoke to someone. So anyway, in addition to all of that, I love this resource on page 110, and I encourage the teachers who may not have looked at it, I encourage you to do so because I think it would be a great resource in your classrooms. Thank you.